Welcome to the 2018 PRI show, and more importantly, the second ever JE Pistons Masters of Motors contest. My name is Brian Loans. I'll be your host, and I'm joined by a group of judges that include Jeff Smith, Mike Kojima, and David Freiberger. Just like we did at the SEMA show, we're going to go out and scour the show floor here at PRI, find the coolest engines we can, get around a table, gouge each other's eyeballs out, and determine what the neatest engines at the show are. We have a bunch of different category winners, and of course, the Ingenuity Award. That's that big 80-pound hunk of billet aluminum designed and engineered by the folks at JE Pistons. When it comes to class categories, we're looking at stuff like boosted engines, nitrous engines, naturally aspirated, circle track, drag race, import, and best appearing. We're gonna go scour the floor right now, find the coolest stuff, and convene a little bit later on today.
I take these awards very seriously, and it's really like a struggle to do this, and I'm sort of sweating the PRI show because the level of engines here I'm expecting is going to be way higher than we saw at SEMA as far as actual performance. This isn't going to be a show and shine at all. This is going to be about innovation, and I'm worried about it. I think this is going to take some time to figure out.
For PRI at 2018, we're kind of looking for innovation and horsepower. I was thinking it's all going to be V8 stuff, but we've already seen a Harley engine that's really impressive. Seen a lot of four-cylinder engines. Mike's been educating me. So yeah, it's broadening the horizon, so to speak. So it's really much more so because they're all four strokes. They all make power, but they're all different.
But at PRI, I really like this show. Almost everything here is cool, and it was really easy to find cool stuff and to discuss it and make decisions. So everything's going a lot smoother here, and I'm really enjoying myself, actually.
What am I expecting from PRI and Masters of Motors here? Hardcore. That's the word I'm going to use. I'm going to use hardcore. SEMA, a lot of flash, a lot of dash, a lot of cool stuff. This is about racers. This is about horsepower. This is about winning. I expect to see hardcore stuff.
So this is an engine that I think represents a underserved marketplace here at PRI in motorsports, which is land speed racing. So this is Kenny Duttweiler's 443 cubic inch engine out of the Speed Demon Streamliner, which I think it's still the world's fastest piston-driven, wheel-driven car.
Yeah.
I believe so. So this one, Kenny was saying, was running only on 7, but it went 430 miles an hour.
And he said before it launched the push rod that it was 30 miles an hour up over his fastest effort.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
So had it continued, it would have been killer.
It would have rocked and rolled.
Yeah.
Normally he runs a single turbo deal on these things when he runs like the 250 cubic inch motors, but this one is twin turbo. And it's a small block Chevy, which I think a lot of people don't realize. When we did the story in Hot Rod, we actually blurbed it as world's fastest small block Chevy in that car.
Yeah. He said this one made
2600.
2600.
Well, actually what he said was 2642. But by the time the 2600 starts the number, who cares?
Right, just call it 2640, it'll really make 3,000.
When there are commas and not decimal points, that's you don't have to start splitting hairs.
Exactly.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fastest motor we'll see.
Oh boy, yeah.
In the whole show.
For top speed, 430 on 7 cylinders.
Yeah.
So the question is, as we judge this thing, do we have to take into account the fact that Kenny Duttweiler admitted to us that this thing ate a push rod on he said the push rod up here right near the China wall, the problem was that the heat wouldn't dissipate out of the lifter and it would coke up the oil right there and it would kill the end of the push rod and lose a push rod. I think we even saw in the video, it says number 1 cylinder, gone, has left the program.
It's still pulling.
It still pulls.
Amazing engine.
So while they've done incredible things with that particular car, I'm not sure this combination was the real high point.
Yeah.
All right, 430 mile failure. On to the next one. All right, so we've when we did the SEMA show, we had our nitro burning engine, which was naturally aspirated. We're doing that again here, but in a completely different fashion. This is Mike Vreeland's NHRA Top Fuel Harley Davidson. That is a 150 cubic inch V-twin Harley Davidson architecture style engine that makes 1,000 horsepower injected on nitromethane.
Unblown.
Unblown.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. So 1,000 horsepower, 150 cubic inches. I should be able to do this math in my head, but let me see. So
it's a lot.
Yeah, as we would say in Boston, it's a wicked lot.
Okay, that is 6.66 horsepower per cubic inch.
And as you can see, it's kind of a blunt force trauma. I mean, what else are you going to say? They have to run that strap over the top of the engine to keep the cylinder heads. When the engines explode, they lift the heads. The driver's laying over top of it. So he's wearing a ballistic vest. They have these things strapped down and make sure the heads don't fly up. Guys have died or did die in the past, getting hit with push rods and stuff like that. It does.
Wait a minute. You get impaled by a push rod and die?
Yeah. Imagine that.
It's a great way to go.
It's amazing that has not happened to you yet, let alone these people.
I don't have that skill.
Well, anytime you have to wear body armor to ride something, that's
pretty
kind of
good.
questionable.
Pretty legit. Yeah, and it's, you know, the, what do they call it, a fork and knife style design of a normal Harley Davidson with a connecting rod deal. This has normal style billet rods in it, obviously, but it's a crazy piece. And for us, like this Masters of Motors thing is, to me, it's about diversity, right? And this is part of that. It's no 440-inch, 400-mile-an-hour engine, but 2 holes, 225 mile an hour, and 1,000 horsepower at 150 cubic inches is pretty gnarly.
Yep.
Gnarly Harley.
Let's go look at something less impressive.
So this is the Jessel valve train version of the from built scratch, no hold bars, just mind explosion of greatness. And I think we're gonna have a tough job deciding what is more innovative, this or the Moran motor. And if you believe what Wayne Jessel told us, he said Mike Moran walked over here and looked at this and was like, oh, I should have thought of that. And so this is like the ultimate compilation of everything that you've ever been annoyed by on an engine and needed to solve. The whole thing is from scratch, but it's like built-in dry sump system. You can see the way they've built in the distributor drive, even down to the fittings on this thing. They're not just regular old AN fittings. They created their own fitting profile so that it would just slide on and thread right on without the aggravation of that real fine thread like AN thread.
You have an interesting take on this engine, I feel like.
I mean, there's some things I really like about the motor that I think is really innovative, like the super high camshaft height, so you could have a super straight, really short push rods motor, and I think that's really cool. A lot of stiffness. I like the partition crankcase with the integrated dry sump, so you can like really control your windage and windage losses. That's great, and like pumping losses in between the bays of the block, like a lot of motors have. But the thing I don't like about this motor is it was built as a Bonneville motor, so kind of like a revvy, low piston speed, low torque, kind of pipey motor on purpose for Bonneville.
The base argument is the Moran motor versus this one. The Moran motor has the ability to be a bunch of different things to a bunch of different people, where this really is a fairly specialized piece for its
Well, but
usage.
go the other way.
Yeah.
Would you ever build the Moran motor at 427 inches? This is purpose built for what it needs to do, and that's the displacement category it wants to run.
Class legal deal too.
Exactly.
Right?
They're going to build one at 427 and one at 370. So
gotta
I
keep
think
rolling, boys.
We're going to be duking this out later between the Mike Moran motor and the Jessel motor.
Yeah.
Because they're both just.
So
Circus act.
I saw this thing, and I kind of didn't know what to expect, and I kind of think this is like done for show a lot because it has a lot of turbos, but it's only compounded once, and so you have 2 turbos off this weird log exhaust manifold, which I don't exactly understand because diesels are pretty low exhaust energy, and so why would you want all your exhaust to dump into a log that has a huge plenum on it? So that's kind of weird. So you have your 2 first stage turbos, and each one of those goes into 2 other turbos, and that's probably not that efficient because on compressors you have like all the backside leakage losses, and that sounds terrible, but
So backing up, what is it? 12 valve Cummins?
It's a Cummins. Yeah, it's a Cummins style engine. Obviously, it's a billet cylinder head. It's a billet, mechanical P-pump, I guess, style fuel system. It's got a bouncer on it that you could, knock a building over with. I mean, the whole thing is industrial strength, but
It's a freak show.
does it run?
The rest is like a Calliope,
so
right?
here's the deal. I talked to KJ Jones, who's the editor of Diesel Power Magazine, to get the skinny on this thing because I was like, dude, have you seen the whatever? So apparently this is with this company Optitorque, and this is for testing on the dyno their cylinder head stud strength. And so they're looking to make a major boost. It doesn't necessarily have a practical application in like a tractor puller or a drag car or anything like that.
Well, I mean, it would
It's
bolt
a
into
tool.
whatever you wanted to put it in. I can't see it.
Oh yeah, bolts right up.
Yeah.
Yeah, Smith could get it in a 65 Chevelle, no problem. But
And it's light.
but it's not necessarily what it's for. It's an R&D mule for testing product, or as far as I understand it.
Short stops
Definitely
traffic.
has the wow factor. Definitely has the wow
It's
factor.
definitely trade show wow factor.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know,
Y-O-Y.
guys. I think it's a conversation piece.
I liked it.
Yeah.
How come I'm the only one? World's
All right.
quickest four-cylinder? Is that a fact?
I don't know. At least in Australia.
The world's quickest in Australia.
So this is something I thought was a standout deal. It's a 4G63 turbo billet block with all the badass stuff, of course. But what really makes it cool is it has a compound turbo. Now I've never seen this on a
gas motor.
something that's not a diesel before.
Yeah, I mean, and we say gas motor, but this thing clearly runs on alcohol, judging by the number of fuel injectors that are there in the.
Okay, a not diesel.
Right. I
engine.
just clarify.
Yes, no, correct.
With something with a throttle body.
Okay.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's metering air, not fuel.
I mean, it runs 100 PSI. I mean, it's pretty crazy. It's almost, we almost didn't realize it was a compound turbo at first because we were going, oh, that's a really big single. And then we didn't notice the other turbo there for a sec. But this is a really innovative use of forced induction, and apparently it works, right?
Yeah, I think what's incredible about this and the V-twin we looked at, they run almost identical elapsed times and speeds. So, and the V-twin is 30 cubic inches, right? That's about 120 inches, give or take. The V-twin's 150 inch V-twin on a bike, and this thing's in a car, and they run just about identical elapsed times. It's amazing.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Pretty impressive.
Kind of humiliating, honestly, for us standing on this side of the car. For you, this is fantastic.
Well,
for
V8,
us,
big V8 stuff, and here's a little four-cylinder just going
Killing it.
very quick.
yep.
Well, there's no hood for me to hide behind.
All right, so we have reconvened the meeting here. It is Friday morning at the 2018 PRI show, and the judges have had a night to sleep on it. Last night you saw 8 really cool engines, kind of a cross-section of the things we're going to talk about now, but now it's time to do the hard work and actually pick our class winners in an overall. So.
Now that we've had a chance to drink on it. Okay.
Yes. I think we should, there are a couple of these I think we can knock off quickly, and I think others are going to require some more debate, but I think we start at best appearing, which I think it's almost a unanimous vote. Kyle Tucker's
Tucker.
car was one that we kind of immediately saw. So,
Yeah.
so best appearing, we can knock that out the list. Kyle Tucker's Camaro, it's gorgeous, just black paint for days, and the orange engine's really nice.
Yeah, and you know what? At a glance, I think a lot of people would go, well, what's special about it? It's in the detail. You look at that thing and how far he's gone to kind of make it look stock, but all of the 3D printed stuff that has turned into CNC stuff. That's
Reproduction of the factory-looking decal.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, because
exactly.
it was supposed to say Tonawanda, now says Detroit Speed.
Yeah.
And you would like
I mean,
to go,
that's
it's
cool.
just all orange. It's like spray painted, but that's
No.
what's cool, actually.
Yeah, it is cool, but that was a lot of work to
Oh, it
get
wasn't
that to
spray
look like,
painted, but yeah, it's
and
great.
make it still look like that 10 years from now, which
Yeah.
it will.
So why don't we move to the circle track category? And this was one that struck us all a little strange, right? Because you come to PRI, there's obviously a massive amount of circle track cars, but one of you guys can just explain kind of where our head's at here.
Well, I think I'm sort of responsible for saying, hey, we need a category for this before we walked in the door. But once we got here, it's like, wait a minute, every single one of these things is a sealed small block Chevy or an LS. They're all crate motors. That's just what the industry's gone to.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen a lot of NASCAR level cars here. No. And so while I wanted to consider the, Parnelli Jones car with a Offie in it, that's a little bit like, huh?
Yeah, if we had a vintage category, the turbocharged
Yeah,
Audi
it
would
would,
be front
for sure.
and center, yeah.
But I think I'm leaning midget Honda.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a cool engine.
It is cool. The thing that might make me a chump about that, though, is that I don't know if that's just a common thing there or if that's unusual.
Even if it is a common thing, though, I mean, even if it is a common thing, you look at that engine on its merits, the way the thing's, obviously mounted at the crazy angle. It's got the awesome oil pan on it, designed to hold on to the
Dries
oil
up,
as the
yeah.
thing's whipping around the track.
Right.
So, I mean, I think even if it is a common thing, I think it's still a neat piece.
Right. And like the dry sump,
Yeah.
that's all innovative, and all the stuff they did to have the engine all leaned
Laid
over.
over. Yeah.
Plus, it throws Kojima a bone, and
Right. Anytime we can help Mike out, then we'll do that.
anytime you can put an import in.
So circle
Not make
track.
fun of me.
The circle track's handled, and it's going to be the midget Honda engine, which again, who knows? Everybody in America could have one, but we looked at it and went, this is cool.
Yeah.
So it wins.
It's the only one I saw here.
Why don't we go to nitrous? Because I think we have nitrous. I think we're
closer.
We're closer, I think, at nitrous.
Nitrous options are top dragster, diesel guy with the truck,
With the truck, yeah.
and we had another one that
I think those are the two primaries. If we look at our list here of our nitrous, or of all of our competitors,
Schroeder.
Dave Schroeder's engine. So in the three, we're talking about an 872-inch nitrous engine that gets driven multiple thousands of miles on the street that runs 620s or low 6s at 30s, maybe in the quarter mile. We've got a dragster that obviously does not get driven on the street, runs 16 6.0s, and then we have a pickup truck with a power stroke diesel with a Pro Charger on it with all the nitrous in the world being plumbed into it.
Right.
So one of you guys can start this.
Schroeder.
It sounds really good. I'd almost lean towards the home-built car, the diesel truck thing, just because it's so cool. But yeah, Schroeder's thing is pretty awesome. Yeah.
I kind of like the diesel truck not because of anything that is trick, but it's sort of like the spirit of our industry.
Mm-hmm.
Here's a guy that, obviously he tinkers on it all the time. Like, all the fittings are all beat because, he's been
It's been
working
apart a
on
million
it.
times,
It's been apart millions of times, and the thing's not pretty, but it's built with decent parts and stuff. But you can tell it's beat. He runs that thing hard, takes it apart, puts it back together. And he seems like this earnest guy that's just having a lot of fun. Mm-hmm. And I really like the guy.
I value all of that stuff. Schroeder has a much bigger accomplishment under his belt with it, and they struggled with that thing for a long time.
Yeah, and
It's a higher level of what you're talking about, but it's what you're talking
yeah,
about.
if I'm voting with my heart, I think the truck is definitely where my heart's at. But at the same time, having seen Dave and John Enns drive that thing a million miles, have it apart on the side of the road, they've rebuilt that car in parking lots across America effectively, and then continued on down the line. It's a battle-worn, war-weary piece, and I think it's earned it. So yeah, I side with the Schroeder argument.
Schroeder.
Yeah.
You have no choice.
And somehow Mike Kojima, with the appealing to our emotional side, unfortunately comes up short. Who saw that coming? Import engine. So we got a couple of potential contenders here. The Billet Mitsubishi engine that we looked at last night, the 4G63. Also the 1FZ inline 6, which, Mike, you can speak to that.
I think that's really cool. Like how I was telling you guys, if you have a 2JZ here with a big single turbo, that's almost negative points. It's the twin turbo LS of the import world. Okay. But I thought this was a cool twist on it. It's an engine that's in Australia and the Middle East, but never imported to the States. But I think it's like a big thumper, like
it's 4.5 liters anyway.
I think it's 3.9 liters.
3.9.
Oh, 3.9. Okay.
But you like that more than the 4G?
I think I like the 4G better as far as innovation
and I think that the 4G falls in a couple categories here. The 4G doesn't need to be limited to the import category because of the fact it's turbocharged, and I think all of us agree it's a badass piece. Yeah. I think it should even end up being in the conversation for Ingenuity Award at the end. But I'm with you on the inline 6 as the import engine, because the fact is, from outside the country, most people are going to walk by that thing and not even have any idea what it is, and I think it's cool that they're doing something different.
So to pick that almost deflects that you automatically have to put the 4G someplace else, and it could be boosted or drag racing.
Right.
Or overall.
But you also run the risk that it could fall out altogether.
Right.
If it doesn't fit into one of those categories either.
But here's the thing. Is it the most innovative boost that we've seen here?
I would argue that it is. The compound, a compound...
Yeah,
you get a 2-liter engine that makes 2,000 horsepower.
That's the only one here on a gasoline or methanol.
But
so maybe it fits there best. And then let me trickle this all the way uphill, which is, I think our big argument for the overall Ingenuity thing in my mind is Jessel versus Moran.
Agreed.
Right, yes.
Moran's is a drag racing engine. You could put it in drag racing. You could do Jessel overall, which accommodates the 4G under boosted. I think we are at the point of arguing where there's engines that impressed us so much we don't want to have them just go away by not winning their category.
Exactly.
So that's a way to solve that if you guys agree with it. And I'm not 100% sold on that, but it's a way.
So to clear up one of those loose ends, the 1FZ, we're good with that as import.
Yeah.
So let's enter the next stage of the debate that you just brought up. So let's do we want to talk boosted or drag race, or what do we want to talk about?
Are there any other easier ones before we get there?
NA.
NA.
We got Vreeland's,
Harley.
We got Vreeland's injected nitrogen burning Harley.
Yeah.
We got the 10,000 RPM LS engine. In terms of other naturally aspirated stuff, the Boss 9 engine.
The Boss 9, yeah.
Sonny Leonard's 1600 horse 648 is in there as well in NA.
That's pretty cool.
I gotta go Harley on that. Though.
I can't argue with that either. So I was just trying to present our options.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But the
I like
Harley
that.
kind of is so much better.
Contained violence. You have to wear body armor.
It's not that contained.
It's like jumping on the grenade.
So
Anytime you can screw yourself with a push rod.
Oh,
yeah. So boosted and drag race, and then ingenuity is what we got left here. So the vice is tightening, I guess.
This is the bad part.
This is the bad part.
yeah. Somebody has to lose.
To take boosted for its meaning, to take boosted as a specified thing, no argument in my mind that supplants the Mitsubishi engine.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I feel too.
Okay, I'm down with that, but can we explore it a little bit?
Yeah, no, 100%.
We've completely discounted the 6-turbo diesel thing as being like a dyno mule.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the other options are the Pro Charger on the Alan Johnson deal.
Yep.
Or the Proline
Proline
deal,
engine. Yep. The Roots blown engine in Fletcher Cox car, which is the Roots blown Hemi.
which is bitchin'.
The billet Hemi and Frankenstein engine dynamics.
Okay, let's hold on that. I'm comfortable with discounting the Pro Charger one as not being as innovative as the 4G.
Yeah.
Right.
Common engine in the marketplace. It's got a good story that they're converting to centrifugal instead of turbo, but I don't think it breaks new ground as much. And then the one in Cox's car is mind-blowingly awesome to me. I'd rather own it.
Right. Right.
Again, I don't think it's as groundbreaking.
Right. The really the only real like standout on that engine, other than its just overall awesomeness, is that it's an EFI motor, which is cool. But again, in the face of all the other aspects of some of these things, that doesn't really stand up, I guess.
So if we're comfortable dropping those for the 4G, what are the other considerations?
Duttweiler Speed Demon.
That particular engine wasn't as successful as they wanted it to be, by which I mean it only set a 430 mile an hour record. I think if you walked Kenny Duttweiler over to that 4-cylinder, he would go pick this over my engine. I honestly do.
I feel as though that's yeah.
So I guess having hashed that out, I'm comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we go into drag race, where virtually every engine that we just talked about comes back up into the discussion again.
Well, and so the two categories left are drag race and overall.
Right.
And
so this
overall.
is where it really gets brutal on the Moran versus Jessel.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Jessel's engine is not a drag racing engine.
Right.
He stated that. He wants to run it as a land speed
And
car.
Moran's clearly is.
Moran's clearly is.
Right.
Has been and currently is being run as a drag race engine. That guy in Australia that's got the one.
So
I thought about this all last night and agonized about it because you guys know how I feel about.
Sure.
But I was thinking that the Jessel motor has more neat innovation, and what I really like, from the way I think, is like the valve train geometry. You know, like the smaller rocker arms, the more inline push rods, the twisted and the cant of the valve locations to get the better port locations and all that. I thought that was all really cool and better thought out in the Jessel motor.
it is definitely that. I think there are some things about the Moran motor that we didn't discuss that make it equally important to its marketplace, and the serviceability that Moran came up with on using shelf parts is also
Right.
good.
And I think they're one of the other things too is the fact that Moran's engine's been out long enough that he's been able to refine his refinements.
His
Right.
has run.
Yeah.
Right.
There's also that.
It's a tough call.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'm saying Moran and drag race because that is beyond anything else a drag racing engine.
I think I'd be comfortable with that.
The only thing that makes me queasy about that is that the ultimate award is the Ingenuity Award.
Right.
And so that goes to Jessel, who really kind of has the same amount of work in it as Moran does. Can we have a tie?
Yeah, well, just saw the trophy in half. Instead of being an 85-pound trophy, you know, you got 42 and a half. It's way easier to transport. Yeah, you wear half it around your neck, and the other guy, you put it together, and it's like a talisman of some kind.
Like Power Rangers.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Well, is there anything else more worthy than Moran in drag race?
I don't think so, and I guess my argument there would be like we talked about looking at the engine last night. This went from his brain to reality. You know, the LS platform didn't go from the brain of Baker Engineering to reality. They took something and made it better. Like, all these things are enhancements of existing stuff, except for the last two engines we're talking about. Mm-hmm. And the Wagler engine.
Oh, yeah, you were feeling that was in the same category, and I probably unfairly dismissed it as factory architecture, so it's not the same level of, you know, brain bar.
Thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the takeaway is we need a diesel catequary the next time we do this.
Yeah, for sure.
Because that engine would, you know, by rights, you know, deserves a home somewhere, but it just doesn't quite fit. I think
doesn't fit with what we have right now. Yeah.
I guess we can keep talking ourselves into a circle, but boom, done.
So we give Jessel the
overall drag race.
Moran drag race. Okay.
So the rundown, as has been decided by the team of crack panelists here. Best appearing goes to Kyle Tucker. And what does he call that car? Tux, the 69 Camaro. Beautiful engine in that car. The import engine is going to be the Toyota 1FZ. It is the inline six engine that's in the Scion FRS. We have the drag race engine is Mike Moran's Billet Hemi. Circle track engine, the Honda Midget engine that we saw at the ARP booth. The naturally aspirated engine is going to be the V-twin Harley-Davidson top fuel NHRA motorcycle of Rich Vreeland. The nitrous engine goes to Dave Schroeder for the 872-inch rear Morrison motor that he uses in his drag week car. The boosted engine, the 4G63 from Australia, that has the billet block, all the billet parts, and the compound turbos. And finally, the Ingenuity Award for 2018 at PRI will go to Dan Jezel. The Jezel Equal 8 will be our Ingenuity winner here in PRI. Culmination of the Jezel brothers' work, especially Dan. There you go. That's actually fantastic right there.